What's up, guys? Welcome to the Go Accomplish More podcast. And today we're going to talk about how AI won't replace leaders. It will actually expose the weak ones. And I've been noticing something really interesting lately. I work with a lot of agency owners through GoStaffy, and I'm seeing two completely different outcomes. Some agency owners are thriving right now, while others are more stressed than ever. And what's interesting is they all have access to the same AI tools. So for example, you'll see one owner is using AI in his team to free up time, focus on strategy, and grow. And another owner is still buried in every task, every approval, every client issue. And they're using the same tools, but it's different leadership. That's why there's some agency owners that are thriving with AI while others are falling behind. AI isn't the difference, it's the leadership. AI simply exposes what was already there. So today I want to talk about 3 leadership gaps AI is exposing and what the best leaders are doing differently. And why does this matter? Because I believe AI is only going to get easier and easier, and it's going to be available to everyone. And technology advantage is going to be shrinking, and leadership advantage is going to grow. So the leadership side is what's going to set you apart than just knowing how to use AI, right? And 3 years ago, agencies were asking whether AI was going to replace jobs. And today, the question is completely different. The question is, how do we use AI effectively while we still build a great company? If every agency owner has Claude, ChatGPT, automation tools, and AI software, then what's left, right? I believe it's leadership, vision, decision-making, culture. So what an amazing time we're living in right now that you can actually make a difference on the leadership side. You can actually make a bigger difference in building the right culture. You can still use AI, of course, as the right tools. So let's jump right in. There's 3 types of leaders. And the first leader that I want to describe here is the busy leader. This busy leader is always putting out fires, constantly overwhelmed, calendar is full, and business isn't growing proportionally. This is the agency owner who says they're working 60 hours a week, but when you really look at their calendar, they're spending hours doing things someone else could be doing. And I can share on something personal in my life that when I hired my first EA, and I know I've talked about this in previous podcasts, but when I hired my first EA, I realized how much time I was spending in my inbox, how much time my calendar was taking from me, and how much time it was taking me to do tasks that I shouldn't be doing, right? And I remember when I made that jump and I hired my first EA, oh my God, it was such a big difference in my life. I realized that I had more time to focus on the vision, more time to focus on the culture, more time to focus on going to networking meetings, right? So I think as a leader, you have to look at what's taking most of your time. If you feel that you're that busy leader, you need to figure out, you need to do an audit of yourself to make sure that you know what's taking up your time. And then you need to learn how to delegate it or to automate it with AI. So I learned very early on that delegation is so important. Because if you're not learning how to delegate, you're always going to be in it, right? So stop asking what needs to get done today and start asking what your business needs from you today, right? Because maybe you as a leader, you're struggling on letting go on certain departments. And I can raise my hand on that, right? There's certain departments where I'm still involved a lot but I think it's a process, right? Don't beat yourself up if you're the type of leader that hasn't fully delegated yet, because it is a process, right? I understand you grew the agency and you were once in those departments full on, right? But little by little, you need to start letting go and you need to stop being that busy leader, right? So the second leadership type is the control leader, right? And this type of leader needs to approve everything, right? Needs to review every single email, needs to review every single piece of content, and is pretty much micromanaging his team. Have you ever caught yourself saying, it's just faster if I do it myself. If so, this one might hit home, right? And I think that most agency owners, or if you're an owner of a company, it's normal to have a sense of control. They want to know where everything's at. They want to know that things are running smoothly, because when they lose control, right, in certain departments, it freaks them out. And I get it. I get it. You want to make sure that you're having the right balance in place. Your team can maybe think, since you want to be more involved, they can think that you're micromanaging them. So I think a good way could be is that you have constant meetings with them, right? Make sure that they're sending you an end of day report. Make sure that they're constantly communicating with you, at least with the team leads. So I meet up with 2 key players from my team every single day for 15 minutes to 20 minutes. And they keep me on the loop, right? We also have, through Slack, specific Slack channels where they're constantly giving us updates on what's going on, right? And you can have even Claude. I mean, if you're using Claude, you can actually connect your Claude with your Slack, and you can just tell Claude, hey, Claude, give me what I need to know as a busy entrepreneur, right? As a busy leader, I need to know what is relevant to me. Let me know the channels or the messages that I haven't responded yet. Keep me on the loop. Give me a report. Most business owners want to be aware of what's going on. They don't want surprises. So the more touch points you have, the better, right? The other thing that we did too, if you feel like you're in that control leadership type, is you can create an artifact using Claude. Claude has a feature where you can have a live dashboard, and I created 3 live dashboards. One for account management, one for recruitment. That gets updated every single week. So pretty much it gives me how retention is going, how the revenue is going, how many people have canceled. So like that, it keeps me on the loop. If your team had to wait for your approval every time, every single week, would they move faster or slower than your competitors? Right? And the name of the game is you want to move quick, right? Speed of implementation is what's going to get you to the next level. And many leaders think that control equals quality. And it's true to a certain point, but it often creates bottlenecks, right? And I'm a victim of this, guys. I feel like I am in every single one just a little bit, right? The goal is it's a process. So you want to make sure that you don't become that control leader, right? Because control feels productive. It does. But it's usually the bottleneck. The third category that I want to talk about, the third leadership gap, is becoming one of the most dangerous in today's business environment. And that category is the comfortable leader. And what does this look like? Well, the comfortable leader is someone who is avoiding AI, who is avoiding change, who is staying with old habits and not learning new skills. Now, let me be clear. You don't need to become the AI expert, right? You don't need to become a programmer either. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that leaders need to be curious. The agencies growing right now are led by people who are willing to learn, right? For example, in my life, I've put in close to 30 to 35 hours in learning how to use Claude and Claude Cowork. And I'm still learning. And I am learning just enough so that I can say, hey, I'm an expert, right? And even though I love the techie side of it, like eventually you need a team that's going to take it to the next level, right? You're going to be the visionary and share to the team, hey, this is the direction I'm going when it comes to Claude. And that's what we're doing right now. Like literally within our team, we're building a Claude team, so that everyone has access to their own Claude account, but we're all connected, right, as one. And this is going to bring more unison. And the good thing is that I know what's going on since I've gone through some training with Claude. So my recommendation is that be the leader that is curious, learning new software, learning the new LLMs with AI, and don't get overwhelmed. Start with 1 or 2 LLMs and go all in, right? Little by little, and then delegate it, right? So the first time we started using even ChatGPT, we just started using it as part of our daily life. And I think that you need to start just changing the way that you're operating. Because the analogy is that if you're still operating in the blockbuster mentality and not really evolving into the agency that you should be evolving to, then you're going to be left behind, right? You can't get comfortable, right? And it's hard because sometimes we we stay comfortable and we're doing the things that actually work that got us to the level that we're in now. But this industry is changing every single week, every single day. And that's what makes it exciting, but also challenging, right? So don't get comfortable. Make sure that you're always recreating yourself. So, what have you avoided learning? So ask yourself, what are the things that you're avoiding? What technology are you resisting? What skill could help your business if you reinvested more time in it? Right. So, right now, I think that AI is like the internet reborn. I think, like I said before, is we need to become more of an architect and teach our team members to become the architects of their role, right? Because a lot of times we think that the AI, and I've said it before, it's going to replace team members, but it's actually going to amplify them. But they need to be aware that they need to become the architect, right? And I think that if we give them the freedom to become the architect within their role, it's going to be so amazing, right? You're going to be able to be that leader that's not comfortable because you're showing your team like, hey, we're going after it, we're going to evolve, and we are going to make our team more AI compliant, right? So you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You do need to be the most curious as a leader, right? And this sounds cliche because if you're a leader and you're growing as right, if you're a leader and you're growing as an agency and you're growing as an individual, you know that you shouldn't get comfortable in anything. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. So if those are the traps, what are great leaders doing differently? So I just shared 3 leaders that you should not be, right? Or traits that you should not be doing. So what are great leaders doing differently? So let's shift gears for a minute because this isn't meant to be negative, right? I want to talk about what the best agency owners are doing right now. So first, they learn faster. The best leaders I know are constantly asking questions. They're testing tools. They're learning from podcasts. They're learning from masterminds. They're not waiting until they're forced to change. I'm involved in one mastermind group and I'm involved in 2 other groups. And I listen to podcasts almost every single day. I'm constantly reading. I'm not a perfect leader by all means. Like if I feel that I'm getting comfortable, like in some ways, I will do whatever it takes to feel uncomfortable, right? You can apply this in every area of your life if you really have that mindset. Number 2 is they delegate better. They understand that growth doesn't come from doing more. Growth comes from building a team that can do more, right? You're inspiring your team to become better by doing learning meetings, by showing them the latest and greatest AI tools, by always pushing them, not only in what they're doing, but also in their personal life. You're probably right now like at a stage that you need to hire your first assistant. You're probably like in a stage where you need to delegate more so that to free up your time. And I get it. I feel that a lot of times we don't delegate or we don't want to let go because either we love what we're doing or we feel that we're the best at that craft. And it's true. You are the best because that's what got you to the level you're in now. But remember, you need to free up your time so that you can focus on other things that you can become great in, right? Because I believe one trait that an agency owner has is that, or they have the capacity to share the vision. They're probably good at sales. They're probably good at connecting, right? They're great connectors, right? Great with networking. Maybe you've been wanting to start that podcast, right? So you want to make sure that you're delegating so that you can get to do the things that are going to get you to the next level. Point number 3 is great leaders develop other leaders that are great. The best agency owners don't build followers. That's the truth, guys. They build leaders. They build people who solve problems instead of waiting for instructions. Like the other day, I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about how you should be hiring 10 A players instead of hiring 20 B players, because they know the A players can do 2 or 3 times more than a B player. Or you might have some B players that they could become A players. You need to develop them as leaders. You need to really, really pour into them. And I know it takes time. The way we do it, like I've said it before, is that we have learning meetings or workshops every single week. Every single week we prioritize. We also have AI training that's happening every single week. We always talk about growth, about self-development, because if you're not developing them, they're not going to grow if you're not pushing the needle. Like, I can bet you that most of your team members, they're probably a lot younger than you. They don't have the same experience as you. So you want to make sure that you're pouring into them as much as you can, right? Because you have a lot of experience, right? So strong leaders use AI to create more leadership time, not more work, right? And these are common sense things. I know you're probably listening to this podcast and you're probably saying, John, I'm doing this already. Now, I encourage the listener, if you're doing this already, become great at it. If you're doing it already, there's always room for improvement. So let me repeat once again. What great leaders are doing differently are, number one, they learn faster. Number two, they delegate better. And number three, they develop other leaders. So I'm going to leave you with some action items. The first thing is, do a leadership audit on yourself. Here's a challenge I want you to do is write down the 3 biggest time wasters that are taking up most of your time right now. And you can even give this to your ops manager, your account manager, whoever your team leads are, and tell them, hey, I need you to sit down and really take a whole day and do an audit. What are the 3 biggest time wasters? The next question is, what can be automated? What can be delegated? Whether through AI, whether through hiring someone else, whether to put an AI agent too. I mean, we haven't spoken about AI agents, and that's the thing right now as well. And what are some things that only you should do? Write down, hey, I want to do a podcast. I want to be shaking more hands. I want to get more speaking engagements. I want to share more vision. I want to be more involved in business development, in sales. What are the things that you should be doing that you're good at so that you can become great at it? So action item number 2 is have an AI conversation with your team. Sit down with your team and simply ask, what AI tools are you using right now? Because I can bet you is that they're using it in silos. And that's why in our agency, we decided that we're going to go through Claude Teams and we're going to have everything together so that we have more unison and no one is doing things on their own. Because if someone is doing great things with AI, you're going to be missing out. So sit down with your team and simply ask, what AI tools are you using right now? Right? And come up with a plan on how you can encourage them to maybe use different AI tools, or to figure out how can we bring this in a team level so that everyone can be using the same tools. And you'll probably learn something from your team if you ask that question. The third action item is stop approving one thing. Pick one thing this week and let it go. Train the person, set the expectations, and trust the process. And I'm speaking to myself. You know what I'm saying? I am speaking to myself because this happens a lot. Is I just love to give excellence, right? As a leader, I feel like I've shared the story of Disney World, the Magic Kingdom. If you drop literally a piece of paper on the floor, someone will pick it up within 5 or 10 minutes. You will not see that piece of paper on the floor because they have a sense of excellence. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I like to approve certain things. But I believe that if you want to get to the next level, you have to be approving less things. You just need to be more aware. And I think if you translate that to your team, that, hey, I just need to be aware. Like, I just need to have a live dashboard. I just need to have an end of day report. I'm okay with that, right? And if there is some course correction, then you could speak up, of course, right? You're there as a leader. You have more experience maybe in some areas. And you being involved does help a lot, right? You don't build trust by holding on tighter. You build trust by letting people grow. So, guys, that's all I have today. And I want you to reflect on the things that we were talking about is, which leader are you becoming? What is AI exposing in your agency or business right now? Where do you need to grow as a leader as well? Because I believe you are the ceiling of your agency. If you grow to a certain level, your team is only going to grow to that level. You are the lid of your agency when it comes to growth. And 3 years from now, AI won't determine who wins. The leader behind the keyboard will win. The leader behind the AI will win. The AI architect behind the AI will win. So you need to develop the leader in you so that you can direct the AI, you can direct your team, you can build culture. If you're trying to build a team that's ready for where business is heading, that's exactly what we're helping agency owners at GoStaffy. And we do this with hundreds of leaders, hundreds of agencies, and we help when it comes to the recruitment side of it. Or even if you just want to speak about this topic, we're here. You can get on a call with us, and we definitely want to hear from you. But if you've liked the show today, please share it with another agency owner, leave a review, subscribe, and please, please, please go accomplish more today in your life.